The first time Elias Rowan met the alien girl, he did not think history was changing. He thought the room was too cold. The observation chamber aboard the neutral station Helios Reach was built for comfort across dozens of species, yet Elias still felt a thin chill against his skin. The air hummed softly with recycled oxygen and distant engines. Beyond the wide transparent wall, stars drifted slowly, calm and endless. Elias stood straight, hands relaxed at his sides, eyes forward. He wore the simple gray uniform of a human envoy. No medals, no weapons. Humanity had learned early that first contact was not the place for displays of force. Across from him stood Caliph. She was taller than Elias by a small margin, slender, her posture graceful but cautious. Her skin was smooth and pale, almost translucent, with faint lines of light beneath it, like soft veins of color waiting to wake. Her eyes were large, dark, and reflective, holding more depth than any human eyes he had ever seen. She was young by her people's standards, though Elias only knew that from reading reports. The Orlan species measured age not in years, but in cycles of mental development. Caliph was considered inexperienced, yet promising enough to represent her people in a minor diplomatic exchange. This meeting was supposed to be simple, a greeting, a shared statement of peace, a confirmation that humanity posed no immediate threat. That was all. The translator node near Elias' ear pulsed gently, syncing with Caliph's own device. The silence stretched longer than protocol suggested, but neither of them moved. Finally, Elias spoke. "It is an honor to meet you," he said, keeping his voice calm and steady. "I am Elias Rowan, representative of Earth." The words were ordinary. He had said them 100 times in simulations. Caliph's reaction was not. The light beneath her skin flickered. At first, Elias thought it was a trick of the station lighting. Then the glow spread, faint lines of blue and silver moving slowly along her arms and neck. Her eyes widened slightly, not in fear, but in surprise so deep it seemed to freeze her in place. She inhaled sharply. The monitors behind the transparent wall came alive with quiet alerts. Orlan attendants shifted uneasily, their smooth faces tightening with concern. One of them spoke quickly in a language Elias could not understand. Caliph raised a hand, stopping them. "You spoke," she said, her voice softer than before. "Again." Elias hesitated. "I said it was an honor." The glow brightened. Caliph staggered back half a step, her hand pressing against her chest as if she could feel something moving beneath her skin. "This should not be happening," she whispered. The chamber door slid open without warning. Senior observers entered from both sides, human and Orlan alike. The calm tone of the meeting fractured into confusion. "What is her status?" an Orlan elder demanded. Caliph looked at Elias again, and this time there was something new in her expression. Not fear, not curiosity, recognition. "He triggered it," she said. The room fell silent. Elias felt every eye turn toward him. "I did nothing," he said quickly. "I followed protocol." The Orlan elder stared at him, unreadable. "You spoke with directed intent." "I introduced myself." Caliph shook her head slowly. "No, you believed the words." That made no sense, but before Elias could respond, Caliph's glow surged again, brighter than before. The light beneath her skin moved faster now, forming complex patterns that made the air around her shimmer faintly. Alarms began to sound, low and controlled, but urgent. "She is entering internal activation," one of the attendants said. "A dormant response." "That process was sealed," the elder said sharply. "It was removed from our biology." Caliph's breathing quickened. She did not look away from Elias. "When you spoke," she said, voice trembling, "your thoughts were not aligned with safety. They were aligned with meaning. With struggle, with choice." Elias swallowed. He felt suddenly exposed, as if something inside his mind had been opened without permission. "I just told the truth," he said. Caliph let out a shaky breath. "That is what awakened it." They moved her to a containment suite within minutes. Not a prison, Elias was told, but a medical environment. Still, the doors sealed behind her with heavy finality. Elias was escorted to a nearby waiting chamber where he was instructed to remain until further notice. The chill returned, stronger now. Hours passed. Through the transparent wall, Elias could see doctors and analysts moving around Caliph, scanning her with instruments that hummed and glowed. Her bioluminescence did not fade. If anything, it became more stable, pulsing slowly like a calm heartbeat. No one spoke to Elias. He replayed the moment again and again in his mind. His words, his tone, his thoughts. He had meant what he said. Humanity had reached the stars not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because they believed meeting the unknown mattered. Could belief really do this? Finally, the door opened. An Orlin elder entered alone. Taller than Caliph, older, his glow muted and tightly controlled. His eyes studied Elias carefully, as if looking at a dangerous object rather than a person. "You are not under arrest," the elder said, "but you are now classified as a catalyst." Elias frowned. "I don't know what that means." "It means," the elder replied, "that your species possesses traits we do not fully understand." He gestured toward the observation window. "She is experiencing neural expansion, emotional depth, adaptive acceleration. Because of me." "Because of what you represent," the elder corrected. "Your kind does not avoid internal conflict, you embrace it." Elias thought of Earth, wars, recoveries, cities rebuilt from ruins, children growing up under broken skies and still dreaming of stars. "We survive," Elias said quietly. "That's all." The elder watched Caliph through the glass. "That is not all," he said. "You change." As if sensing them, Caliph turned her head. Her eyes met Elias's through the barrier. The glow beneath her skin softened, becoming warmer, steadier. She raised her hand. Elias lifted his own, mirroring the gesture. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere deep within Caliph, something ancient had awakened. And humanity had only just begun to understand what it truly carried with it into the stars. If you want, I can continue with part 2 in the same style and length, or adjust tone, more emotional, more sci-fi science, or more HFY power focus. Elias Rowan was not allowed to leave the station. The words were spoken calmly, almost politely, but the meaning settled in his chest with heavy weight. He sat alone in a quiet room with smooth silver walls and soft white light that never changed. There were no visible locks, no guards standing inside, yet he understood clearly that every movement he made was being watched, not as a threat, as a question. Across the station, Caliph lay on a wide medical platform made of clear crystal-like material. Soft energy fields held her in place, not restraining her body but stabilizing the space around it. Her breathing was steady now. The glow beneath her skin pulsed in slow, even waves, no longer wild or uncontrolled, but it was changing. Orlin scientists surrounded her, their expressions tight with concern and awe. Readings scrolled across floating displays, filled with symbols Elias could not read, but the tension in the room needed no translation. "She is still evolving," one of them said quietly. "That is impossible," another replied. "Our genome is fixed." "It was fixed," a third corrected. Caliph opened her eyes. The room fell silent. Her gaze was clearer than before, sharper, as if she was seeing the world with new depth. She slowly sat up, ignoring the surprised reactions around her. The light beneath her skin shifted color, forming new patterns that had never been recorded in Orlin history. "Where is the human?" she asked. The elder stepped forward. "He is safe." "That is not what I asked." Moments later, Elias was escorted into the chamber. The doors slid open and the familiar hum of advanced technology filled his ears. He stopped just inside, unsure whether to move closer. Caliph saw him instantly. Something in her expression softened. "You came," she said. "I wasn't given a choice," Elias answered honestly. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. Neither was I, the scientists began to protest, but the elder raised a hand, silencing them. Speak, he said. Both of you, we must understand what is happening. Elias took a careful step forward. How do you feel? Caliph searched for the right words. Expanded, as if a wall inside my mind has fallen. I can think in directions I never could before. She placed a hand over her chest. I can feel uncertainty, fear, hope. The words sounded strange in her mouth. For us, she continued, hope was considered dangerous. It led to risk, to instability. Elias nodded slowly. For humans, hope is how we survive. The glow beneath her skin brightened at his words, not sharply this time, but warmly. That is why you affected me, she said. Your species does not seek balance by stillness. You seek it by movement. The elder listened closely, his glow flickering faintly. This state you are in, he said, it resembles something from our oldest records. A time before we chose stagnation. Caliph looked at him. Then perhaps that choice was wrong. The room filled with uneasy silence. That thought alone was dangerous. Over the next days, Elias was brought to Caliph regularly, always under observation, always monitored. Yet each time they spoke, the tension eased rather than grew. They talked about simple things at first: Earth's oceans, the way storms looked from orbit, the idea of music made only to express feeling, not data. Caliph listened with deep focus, absorbing every word. She asked questions no Orlin had ever been recorded asking. Why do humans continue when logic says they should stop? Because stopping means giving up. New pathways formed, faster and more flexible than any Orlin mind before her. Her emotional range expanded, but instead of causing chaos, it brought clarity. She was becoming more than her species had allowed itself to be, and she was not the only one affected. Orlin attendants who spent long hours near Elias began to show minor changes, slight emotional responses, faster problem-solving, subtle curiosity that went beyond assigned tasks. The reports spread through the Concord like a quiet fire. Humans were not contagious in the biological sense. They were contagious in spirit. That terrified the leadership. A meeting was called. High-ranking members of the Concord gathered in a sealed chamber, their glows dim and controlled. Human presence must be limited, one said. This influence threatens our societal structure. We survived for millennia by suppressing change, another argued. We cannot undo that because of one anomaly. The elder who had overseen Caliph's case spoke last. This is not corruption, he said. It is remembrance. The debate ended without agreement. While politics stalled, Caliph continued to change. One evening, as the station lights dimmed to simulate rest cycles, Elias stood with her at the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before them. Do you regret it? Elias asked quietly. Regret, she repeated, tasting the word. Meeting me, changing. She considered this for a long time. No, she said finally. I regret that we waited so long. She turned to him, her eyes bright with understanding. Your people walk into the unknown knowing you may fail. We sealed ourselves away from failure and called it peace. Elias smiled faintly. We fail a lot. Yes, she said, and yet you keep going. The next day, everything changed. A message arrived from the Concord Council. Caliph was to be removed from Elias' presence immediately. Her condition was to be isolated, studied, contained. Elias read the order twice, his jaw tightening. They're afraid, he said. Caliph nodded. Fear is new to me, but I understand it now. She stepped closer to him, ignoring the uneasy looks from the guards. You did not force this upon me, she said. You showed me that I could choose. That's dangerous, Elias replied softly. Yes, she agreed, but it is also alive. As they were separated, alarms echoed faintly through the station. Not a crisis alarm, but a warning broadcast. Other species had noticed. Requests for human envoys increased. Observers wanted to understand why contact with humanity led to rapid innovation, emotional awakening, and cultural shifts. The galaxy was beginning to realize something important. Humanity did not dominate through strength. They changed the rules simply by being themselves. As Elias was escorted back to his quarters, he looked once more toward the sealed medical wing where Caliph remained. He did not know what would happen next, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. The future of the galaxy had already moved. And it was moving in a very human direction. The station did not feel calm anymore. Elias Rowan sensed it the moment he stepped out of his quarters. The usual quiet hum of systems felt sharper, faster, as if the station itself was tense. Lights shifted more often. Doors stayed open longer than needed. Voices echoed in the corridors, low and urgent. Something big was happening. He was escorted once again, but this time not toward confinement. The guards led him toward the Central Council chamber, a place humans were rarely invited unless something had gone very wrong, or very right. Inside the chamber, the space opened wide and tall, shaped like a great ring. Delegates from many species stood or hovered in their assigned areas. Some were familiar, others Elias had only seen in briefings. Scales, fur, metal limbs, glowing eyes. The galaxy gathered in one place. At the center stood Caliph. She was no longer confined to a medical platform. She stood freely now, her posture steady, her glow bright but controlled. The patterns beneath her skin were more complex than ever, shifting gently like living art. She saw Elias enter and turned toward him. The moment their eyes met, the room reacted. Several delegates stirred. A few stepped back. Others leaned forward, curious and alert. The Orlan elder raised his voice. "This assembly is now in session," he announced. "We are here to address an event without precedent." He gestured toward Caliph. "One of our own has undergone uncontrolled internal evolution." Then he gestured toward Elias, and it began with a human. A ripple of sound moved through the chamber. Elias stood still, his heart steady but heavy. He knew this moment would decide more than his own fate. Caliph stepped forward before the elder could continue. "I ask permission to speak," she said. The elder hesitated, then nodded. Caliph faced the assembly. Her voice carried clearly, strong but calm. "I was taught that change is dangerous," she said. "That emotion weakens logic, that hope leads to suffering." Her glow deepened slightly, warm and steady. "I was taught wrong," murmurs spread. "When I encountered the human," she continued, "nothing was taken from me. Nothing was forced. I was not altered by technology or attack." She placed a hand over her chest. "I was reminded." A delegate from a reptilian species hissed softly. "Reminded of what?" "Of choice," Caliph replied. "Of movement, of becoming." The elder interrupted. "Your condition destabilizes our society." Caliph turned to him. "Our society was already unstable. It simply did not move." Silence followed. Elias felt the weight of the moment press against him. He took a step forward, not planned but instinctive. "I never meant to change anyone," he said. "I spoke honestly, that's all." Several eyes turned toward him. "One human voice caused this," a metallic delegate said. "That is not a small thing." "No," Elias agreed. "It's not." He looked around the chamber, meeting alien gazes without fear. "Humans don't believe survival means standing still," he said. "We survive because we adapt, because we fail, because we keep going even when we're afraid." Caliph's glow responded, brightening gently. "We are not perfect," Elias continued. "We argue, we break things, we make mistakes." He paused. "But we also rebuild, together." The council chamber erupted into debate. Some delegates demanded restrictions on human movement. Others argued for deeper contact. Data was exchanged rapidly, showing small but undeniable changes in species that had prolonged exposure to humans. Faster learning, creative problem-solving, emotional awareness. None of it violent, none of it forced. Fear spread, but so did curiosity. The elder raised his voice again. "Order!" The room slowly quieted. Caliph stepped beside Elias. "You fear losing control," she said to the council. So did we for millennia. She lifted her glowing hands. And in doing so, we lost ourselves. She turned toward her own people. We chose safety over growth, stillness over life. Her words were simple, but they struck deeply. The elder looked at her for a long moment. You would undo everything we built. No, Caliph said gently, I would let us live again. The decision took hours, arguments, data. History, fear, at last the elder spoke. The conquered will not isolate humanity, he said slowly, nor will we confine Caliph, gasps echoed. We will observe, he continued. We will learn and we will choose. He turned to Elias. You will remain an envoy, he said. Not as a risk, but as a mirror. Elias let out a breath he did not realize he was holding. After the assembly ended, the station grew quieter again, but it was a different kind of quiet, a thoughtful one. Elias stood once more at the observation deck. Stars drifted by, unchanged and eternal. Caliph joined him. The galaxy is afraid, she said. It always is, Elias replied. Change does that, she looked at him. Do humans ever stop being afraid? He smiled softly. No, we just move anyway. She considered that, then nodded. I think, she said, that is why you matter. Across the galaxy, messages traveled. Not warnings this time, but invitations. Requests for exchange, for learning, for understanding. Human ships did not arrive as conquerors. They arrived as neighbors. And wherever they went, things began to move. Not because humans were the strongest, not because they were the smartest, but because they carried something rare into the dark. The belief that tomorrow could be different, and that was enough to change the stars.